Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good evening to everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I would like to introduce our group to you all. We are from Group 1. My name is Ahmad Uzaimir Roslan, your moderator for today. So, the first team will be the affirmative or the positive team that consists of Nurul Mardia binti Hazarmi, Nur Fahana Husaini binti Mak Nazari, and Balkis binti Hasnan. The second team would be the negative team or the opposition team. There are Salmi binti Idris, Nurul Shazana Hanis binti Sharif, and Ain Zahira binti Mazamri. Well, we will be debating about the medical cannabis should be legalized. Please listen to us carefully, seriously, and let me begin.
Thank you, Mr. Uzai. Assalamualaikum and good day to everyone. Thank you for the opportunity for us to give a speech. We are from affirmative team and I'm Nurul Mardia binti Hazarmi as the first affirmative speaker for my team. For today's topic, I extremely agree with the topic, which is medical cannabis should be legalized. Before I start, I know there will be some prejudicial views from the audience, but let me speak in my view why I agree at the first place. As we know, our nation is in the midst of the greatest crisis in generation, with the COVID-19 pandemic impacting Malaysians' physical and emotional well-being while plummeting the nation's economy into the worst economic downturn in our lifetimes. As the country begins what is likely to be a slow climb out of economic morass, federal, state and local governments will be looking for a new sources of revenue to replenish dwindling budget and provide jobs to millions of Malaysians who find themselves out of work. For your information, the usefulness of legalization, the use of marijuana falls into categories which is economic and social benefit. It is important to reiterate that the argument presented in this discussion is purely from a socio-economic point of view. Also, it is important to stress that all the arguments presented in this discussion are rooting for a formal establishment of marijuana use culture. Already, the culture exists and legalization will only entrench in the society acceptance that will easily magnify its usefulness. Besides, legalization will create a new industry within which marijuana will be legally traded and taxed like any other commodity in the market. The framework will be carried out within a highly controlled context where heavy taxation and penalties will mark its circulation in the economy. Many economists argue that perhaps the biggest usefulness of such a move will be creation of desperately needed jobs and generation of income by both the government and private dealers. In fact, some suggest that its legalization is likely to contribute through imminent quantities growth of gross domestic product. Furthermore, for starters, there is the boost to agriculture, starting with the business and individuals who grow and harvest the crops. Then there are the marketing and transport to a growing number of business selling cannabis product. Legalizing cannabis production will give rise to employment opportunities even for individuals who grow the crop over several acres and cultivate it. Law enforcement, courts, human service and prison won't be as overworked and overcrowded with marijuana legalized. Money may be better spent on education, healthcare, rehabilitation and other social service. Also, marijuana has several industrial uses with a possibility of making thousands of products including insecticide and textile. Its illegal status in most territories and however has greatly derailed research on its industrial use. It is likely therefore that legality and continued use of marijuana will be in the long run be beneficial to both industry and society. Other from economic benefits, legalization of marijuana and its use will be a boon for the medical industry. Many medical research have proven that marijuana have low toxic levels and is not likely to cause cancer like tobacco and alcohol. My friends will explain more about medical benefits after this. But on the point that I made earlier objectively, there are a lot of benefits that such a culture and accord humanity. Thus, I agree that medical cannabis should be legalized. And that's all from me. Thank you for lending your ear and attention.
Thank you, Mr. Ahmad Uzair. Assalamualaikum and good evening to everyone. Thank you for the opportunity that was given to me. We are the negative team. I'm Salmi binti Idris as a first speaker for my team, and we will deliver as a negative or opposition team. Okay, I extremely disagree with the motion medical cannabis should be legalized. From Oxford Advanced Learners Dictionary, the definition are a drug which is illegal in many countries, made from the dried leaf and flowers of the hemp plant, which give the person smoking it a feeling of being relaxed, while legalize something to make something legal. Honorable educators, my beloved team, my beloved opponent and member of the House. Our first speaker, you said that through the economic perspective, marijuana business is highly profitable. The question now is, if Malaysia allow marijuana to be sold or managed in the country, will we be able to control the spread of the drug symptom and in turn benefit the national economy? Think about it. And now, let me deliver my argument from social perspective. I stand with two main points. The first thing I want to emphasize is Malaysia will face risk. If Malaysia agreed to allow national law or approve marijuana activities like Western country, then the country will face relatively high risk because it involves teenagers and school children. This is true. Going back to the original Dangerous Drug Act 1952, Section 6B, a person is considered to have committed an offence if he is found to be planting or cultivating a cannabis tree and is punishable by life imprisonment. Based on the Act, we acknowledge that the history of the country proves the drug were previously under control, but as the enforcement situation is now seen to be looser, it has been widespread and more difficult to curb. Around 1980, the former Prime Minister of Malaysia, Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad, has announced drug as a #1 enemy of the country. And at that time, we found that hard that foreign countries saw us as a country that is quick firm in eradicating this. My second opinion is increased criminal cases. I believe the crime rate will increase because drug addicts have no sources of income to get supply. So it is not possible that they will steal or snatch to buy them. Malaysian Crime Statistic 2018, a source from the National Anti-Drug Agency. There are 3 states that have recorded an increasing trend in the number of drug addicts, namely Kelantan, 3,700 addicts, Terengganu, 2,044 addicts, and Sabah, 1,047 addicts. Malaysian Crime Index 2017, a source from the Royal Malaysian Policy. There are 21,366 violent crime cases. They are include robbery cases, injury cases, rape cases, and murder cases. This is very scary. Crime analyst Kamal Effendi has stated that there will be a problem if the country wants to follow the steps that have been implemented by some Western countries. If the drug cartel finances the national economy, these international drug traffickers will also demand their right in the implementation of the national drug policy. Still, will we allow them to make national policy? This question is quite impossible to implement in Malaysia. So I say that I disagree that medical cannabis should be legalized. That's all for me. Thank you for your attention.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good day to everyone. Thank you for the opportunity that was given to me. We are from Affirmative Team. I am Nur Farhana Husaini binti Mat Nazari as a second speaker for my team, and we will deliver a positive side according to legalized medical cannabis. Here, I extremely agree with the motion medical cannabis should be legalized. Based on my reading, cannabis is cultivated commercially or grown wild in warm and tropical areas all over the world. This plant is the material to make cannabis has appeared for a long time. The scientists also has found that the cannabis used by Chinese people as one of their food sources. The National Institute of Drug Abuse and the website of USA government also has defined the cannabis as the mixture of grape or green cannabis leaf flower which has been dried. Cannabis is very popular in US, where the rate of using the drug is 3 times higher than global average. Even, there are 2 presidents of this country, which is Thomas Jefferson and also George Washington, has hemmed the plantation. According to Biden, the information according to addicted toward cannabis is only 9% compared to heroin and cocaine, which is 50% and 24% respectively. First, I would like to stress out that cannabis can help prevent cancer. Almost people think that cancer is the uncontrolled condition of the cell division. Normally, when the cell is old, mutated or injured, the programmed cell death will set off to prevent the cell from growing and dividing. However, cancer has stopped this process. The cancer cell which never die on their own, even creating a tumor that affect on vital bodily function. Did you know, with the advancement of the technologies nowadays, many scientists now has found that cannabis can help cancer suffer because there are about 130 kind of cannabinoid that has been found inside the cannabis that make the cannabis have medicinal and recreational properties. Among the cannabinoid, cannabidol and tetrahydrocannabinol is well understood and well known among the researcher. According to the researcher, the experiment inside the laboratories has found the tetrahydrocannabinol and cannabinol itself can trigger the dead cells. In addition, researcher has shown both of the components have anti-proliferative effect. It means that CBD and THC kill cancer by halting their growth. Not only halting their growth, proliferative of cell, cannabis compound also anti-metastatic properties. The tumor actually will flow through your bloodstream and part of your body and easily to cure by cannabinoid found in cannabis because they have anti-metastatic properties. Secondly, cannabis can treat the glaucoma. Do you know that glaucoma is one kind of disease about the eyes? Will reduce the pupil sight vision, even lead to blindness. The reason of this disease is related to the changing of intraocular pressure, IOP. It means that pressure within the eyes is higher than normal. The lower IOP level is considered the only way to control glaucoma. If the condition worsens, the patient should have the operation to move out the pressure inside the eyes. Fortunately, in the article written by David Tebert, there are some kind of drug that can help to treat this disease. One of is cannabis. According to the author, in ideal use of cannabis to cure the glaucoma has appeared in 1970. National Eyes Institute support this research, and the result is the cannabinoid in the cannabis and THC are able to lower the intraocular pressure. Based on the point that I made earlier, objectively there are a lot of benefits that we can receive when we legalize the cannabis, such as we can treat incurable disease such as cancer and also treat glaucoma by lowering the pressure inside the eyes. Thus, I agree the medical cannabis motion to be legalized. Thank you for lending your ear and your attention. That's all for me.
Assalamualaikum and good evening. My name is Nurul Shazana Hanis binti Sharif. I am a second opposition candidate for this topic. Before I begin with my point, I would like to say that Ms. Farhana really have a good point regarding this. But sadly, I have to disagree with her on our topic for today. In my opinion, I think medical cannabis should not be legalized. It is because in 2000, Josh Pearson's Marijuana Deceptive Drugs was published by the Massacre News. He concluded that marijuana is harmful in many ways, including brain damage, damage to the reproductive system, and weakening of the immune system. He also attempted to convince the reader that marijuana is a getaway drug that lead the user to venture into much harder drugs. Marijuana has been consistently shown to be a risk factor for schizophrenia and other psychotic disorders. The risk of psychotic disorder is more pronounced when marijuana is used at an early age. Researchers at Harvard and Northwestern found that recreational marijuana smokers showed abnormality in the shape, volume, and density of the certain area of the brain. Dr. Hans Britter, a psychiatrist at Northwestern Hospital, said people think a little marijuana shouldn't cause a problem if someone is doing okay with work and life, but data directly says it not so. This is a good evidence that taking cannabis lead to acute adverse mental effect in a high proportion of regular users. Moving on to my second point, social implementation effect on driving. Marijuana impairs the ability to judge time, distance, and speed. It slows reaction time and reduces ability to track moving objects. In many studies of drug-related motor vehicle fatalities, marijuana is the most common drug detected except for alcohol. Based on post-mortem studies, Koch et al. Determined that marijuana was likely an impairing factor in as many fatal accidents as alcohol. One study showed that in motor vehicle accident where the driver was killed, recent marijuana use was detected in 12% of cases. Other research confirmed a significantly increased risk factor of motor vehicle fatalities in association with acute cannabis intoxication. Marijuana-related traffic deaths rose 62% following the legalization of marijuana in Colorado. Jim Leal, former chief of police in California, said legalizing marijuana is just going to put more impaired drivers on the road, worsening a problem that already have. Foundation for Traffic Safety reported that fatal crashes involving marijuana doubled after legalization in Washington. Marijuana can affect driver safety by impairing vehicle control and judgment. A study by National Academies of Sciences, Engineering and Medicine conclude that cannabis use prior to driving increased the risk of being involved in a motor vehicle accident. To end my talk for today, I would like to mention again that I strongly disagree that medical cannabis should be legalized. Thank you for lending me your time and ears.
Thank you, Uzai, as our moderator today. Assalamualaikum and very good day to all of everyone in here. First of all, I would like to say thank you very much for the time that have been given to us to participate towards in this debate. Before I started my debate, I introduce myself first. I'm Balkis Binti Hasnan as a third alternative speaker for my team, and we are from the affirmative team in this debate. Alright, for the today topic, I totally agree about the medical cannabis should be legalized. There are a lot of points that have been stated by my team, which is Speaker 1 and Speaker 2, which support that medical cannabis should be legalized. Before I started with my point, there will be some prejudicial between the audience and also the opposition about the medical cannabis. Here, I will speak and also explain my point why medical cannabis should be legalized. First of all, I want to ask all of you, how would you feel if you get arrested for having your daily medicines? Now, I'm gonna to tell you the benefit it has and why it should be legal for recreational use. There are many reasons and benefits on why medical cannabis should be legal. The first benefit of legalizing medical cannabis are medical benefits. One of the medical benefits of marijuana is that it helps with labor contraction and muscle spasm. Labor contraction usually causes discomfort in your lower back and lower abdomen and can be really uncomfortable. Marijuana can also help to cut the amount of the muscle relaxer pills someone has to take, or can even to replace them. Another medical benefit of marijuana is that it can help to relieve the symptoms from chemotherapy. Many cancer patients have to deal with treatment symptoms including nausea, vomiting, mood disorder, fatigue, weight loss, anorexia, constipation, sexual function, sleep disorder, and pain. Marijuana also help patients go through treatment a lot of easier and help with most of the symptoms. Besides, the second benefits of legalizing medical cannabis are legalization has not led to increased use. Critics of legal medical marijuana argue that cannabis legalization could lead to increased use, especially among minors. However, legalization has had the opposite impact due to effective regulations and education. In states like Colorado, for example, the percentage of teenagers using cannabis has been dropping steadily since the substance was legalized. Besides, the use of marijuana in states that have legalized it has not found above the national average. In Florida, one can only obtain cannabis for medical use if they have one of qualified condition. Even if they qualify, they must see a state-certified physician for medical cannabis for a period of time. So, the physician can determine whether you need it or not. Following multiple consultations with a physician, one can then gain access to cannabis for medical use. This method prevents people getting access to this plant for the wrong reason. My last point, the others benefit of legalizing medical cannabis are it can reduce the use of prescription drugs. Studies have shown that medical cannabis have fewer side effects in comparison to painkiller, and patients who use marijuana for medical purposes felt better overall. Common opioids such as morphine or oxycodone are painkillers that can be habit-forming and can be dangerous if misused. Using them as directed by your doctor or by the packaging are the best way to be safe from an overdose or even death. With a medical cannabis, overdose is almost non-existing, making it a safe alternative to prescription drugs. Due to the risk factor of opioid, national health leaders have thought about reducing traditional painkiller, making medical cannabis a good solution due to the low risk factor and the high benefits. That's all from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Ain Zahira binti Mazamri. As the last speaker from the opposite team, it is reasonable to state that is debatable and the scene is changing quickly regarding the legalization of marijuana. I'm not agreed by saying that medical cannabis should be legal. This is because children will have an easier access to drug, as marijuana carries a risk of abuse and addiction. My first point is highly addictive. At first, they will try it for once or twice, but when you use it, you feel quite addictive and very hard to give up. Of course, not all the teens that use marijuana can become addictive, but due to some factors such as family history and family genes can contribute to addiction of marijuana. If the teen use it for multiple times, they will find it very hard to give up as they feel overly relaxed and mood swing, which can contribute them to use marijuana more. My second point is can change warning level. It can alter the level of alertness and concentration as they're having a difficulty to coordinate properly and respond to the situation in the time needed. Furthermore, it also makes the teens having a difficulty to understand or respond to various of signs and sound, especially on the road. Even though with a little alcohol, it can increase the risk and the possibility of the side effect. My third point is poor academic performance. It will give negative impacts on his or her memory skill, ability to concentrate, learn, pay attention, and more. As a result, they will find it very difficult to understand on what have been taught in class. In addition, if the teen use it regularly, either daily or frequently, it can have a timing effects on their brain. Compared to the teens who doesn't use marijuana, they will tend to find it hard to cope and become stressed. My last point is feeling of panic or paranoid. It can increase the fear of psychosis as they will skip your regular events. Therefore, they will find it very hard to understand and the facts they may not be able to respond well to the help offered. In fact, to those teens who already have some mental health problem, it can lead to prolonged and even permanent psychosis. As a conclusion, the use of marijuana in adolescent or adulthood genetically susceptible person, may cause dependency and addictions. It is premature to consider legals until the effects of consuming or inhaling a drug on your physical and mental well-being are determined. Although it is necessary to counter legalizations, it is necessary to prohibit the holding and use of marijuana. We have to inform people about present or penalize the severe consequence of marijuana. That's why I'm not agreeing by saying that medical cannabis should be legal. That's all for me. Thank you.
In conclusion, we from Affirmative Team conclude that marijuana should be legalized because the tax revenue will generate millions of ringgits for our government, which will help us generate funds that can be used towards more useful things such as schools and public health care. Violent marijuana crime will be reduced by taking the main source of income away from violent gangs and international cartels. Law enforcement will be able to focus on violent crimes and not waste resources on non-violent marijuana users. Also, it is important to note that the focus was mainly on social and economic benefits of marijuana. However, there were brief highlight on the medical benefit as well, and certainly the marijuana culture is not going to slow down. Currently, there is an alcohol and tobacco related cultures and mainly operating within the established legal framework. Yet, thousands of people die from tobacco and alcohol-related illness, including cancer. Thousands more die from other controlled substances whose benefits are far less than what marijuana has to offer. It is important to note that the economic, social, and medical benefits that marijuana has to offer far exceed what most controlled substances have to offer. Thus, we all agree and support in today's topic, which is medical cannabis should be legalized.
I am back again for the winning session. Prevention is better than cure. Prevention is a method that saves mankind from many disasters and destruction. After evaluating the effect, addictiveness, and their impact, marijuana was rated as having an impact on the consumers. Honorable adjudicator, my beloved team, my beloved opponent, and member of the House. From in-depth reading from many sources, marijuana has been consistently shown to be a risk factor for schizophrenia and other psychotic disorders. Then, marijuana was likely an impairing factor in as many fatal accidents as alcohol. My friend has stated that marijuana carries a risk of abuse for children and make it highly addictive, change warning level, poor academic performance, and can have a dimming effect on the brain. The other hand, Malaysia will face risk, and I believe the crime rate will increase. Therefore, for the reason described above, it is believed that marijuana should not be legalized. Again, we are from opposition team still stated firm stand that marijuana should not be legalized. That's all for me. Assalamualaikum.
Finally, the debate program of the medical cannabis should be legalized has come to an end. It is true, or the other way around. Hopefully, with the arguments from both sides of the teams can increase our knowledge. On this occasion as well, I am Ahmad Uzair Roslan. As your moderator for the debate today, would like to thank you for the opportunity that has been given by them. Thank you for being with us until the end. Assalamualaikum.